Welcome to Serving Up Plumbing, everyone. I'm David Butler, and today we're going to be talking about soldering copper. Now, soldering copper is one of the older things that is going away, it seems like, but we still have to do it every now and then as a plumber, and maybe you as a homeowner might want to learn how to do it as well. But before we do that, please hit that subscribe button, give it a thumbs up if you like this video, and let me know your comments on it. Maybe you solder a little different way, but I'd like to hear about it. Now, let's go learn how to solder copper. We're here today in our Milestone Training Facility for plumbers talking about soldering copper. So one of the first things you want to do whenever you're going to solder copper is get your PPE out. Make sure and put those safety glasses on, because one drop of solder that splatters in your eye could blind you forever. We're going to start from the beginning to the end. We're going to cut copper, we're going to ream copper, we're going to clean the copper, we're going to flux the copper, and then we're going to solder it. And then after that, we're going to wipe it down to make sure it looks nice and pretty after it's all finished. All right, let's begin. First of all, we're going to cut the copper. Now, there's a lot of different kinds of copper cutters out there. As again, rigid tools you can't beat for plumbing. We have rigid copper cutters. These are adjustable. Let's put them on. We're going to tighten them down, and let's cut this copper. In general, you want to run one direction this way. Now, you can go back and forth like this with cutters if it's a tight spot. You can go this way. It doesn't really matter. Sometimes it'll work better though if you just cut it one direction like that. So we're going to go all the way through, cut this copper. And you can see it cuts pretty quick with a good pair of sharp cutters. The next thing we're going to do on copper when we're soldering it is ream it. Now, why do we ream copper? First of all, if you're taking your plumbing test, you're going to fail your plumbing test if you don't ream your copper, at least that portion of it. But that's not the reason we ream it. The reason we ream copper is because there's a sharp edge on the inside of a copper pipe right here when we cut it with copper tubing cutters. What that sharp edge can do is cause flow restriction and turbulence. The last two things we need. Turbulence in a pipe will cause erosion, which means we're going to wear holes in the pipe eventually over time. It may be 2 years, it may be 20 years, it may be 30 years. But at some point, it could wear a hole in it if we don't have that ridge reamed out of the copper. Secondly, it's going to give you flow restriction, which also means if you have enough pipes that aren't reamed, you could reduce your flow in your pipes because of the reduction in pressure due to it. A good pipe reamer, this is a really good rigid one. I love this one. It'll ream pipe or it'll chamfer it. Most of the time on copper, we only need to ream it. You're going to put that in there and turn it really good. Get it until that pipe is good and smooth on the inside. There's no ridge left. Try and make sure and get the shavings out. And we've done a reaming on that pipe. They also make a bead reamer that is a little pencil type bead reamer that you can see in the photo here. Also, you can use the back of your copper cutters. Actually, on the back of cutters, oftentimes they'll have a reamer that you can use to ream the inside of the copper. Not all of them, but most of the rigids do. Now, we've reamed our copper. What do we need to do next? We need to clean the copper. And believe it or not, probably one of the most important things that you have to do, whether you're doing PVC, CSST, polyfusion, soldering, brazing, any type of pipe we're joining together, cleaning is one of the most important things, because if we have any dirt or any kind of debris or oil or anything like that on the pipes, oftentimes it can cause you to have a leak. And one thing we don't want as plumbers is leaks, right? And especially as a homeowner, it's very frustrating to have a leak on a pipe. So make sure and clean it good. Now, we're going to use sandcloth for this. You can use any kind of sandcloth. This is plumber's open mesh sandcloth we like to use. It seems to last longer. It's about the width of what you need to sand it, about 1.5 inches wide. So, and again, you'll notice the length of the piece I have. You can get a short little piece like this and try and be conservative and save it, but in the long run, it's probably going to take you longer than getting a good long piece like this. This is what I call the shoe shine method. You can clean it while it's in a vise like this. Get it good and shiny about the width of the sandcloth. Now, if we don't have the ability to do the shoe shine method, maybe you don't have a pipe vise, this is down in the ground, or you may just have a piece of copper in your hand doing it like this. You can just wrap the sandcloth around it and sand it. Now, one thing I like to do, this little trick, I double the sandcloth when I'm doing this, and I can wrap it around it. Seems like it gives a little better sanding when you double it. So we can sand it like this, Get it good and shiny. Make sure you sand it completely. Make sure we don't have any tarnish or anything like that left on the pipe. No sticky stickers, anything like that. We need to get that pipe completely clean because, again, remember, cleaning the pipe is one of the most important processes of joining any pipes. So after we finish sanding it, make sure we got a good clean pipe, no dirt or anything on it, and we can wipe it off. If you do get dirt or sweat or anything on it, you may need to resand it or clean it. Now, oftentimes we're in real dirty areas. We may be under a house, we may be down in a mud hole, so it's difficult, but you got to make sure and keep it clean. Your fitting. Now, we've got a 45, a 90 here, a coupling. We're going to do a 45 and a coupling today, so I can kind of show you the different ways it works when a coupling versus a fitting that makes a turn. The first thing we want to do is clean our fitting. Now we've already cleaned our pipe, now we're going to clean our fitting. Fitting brushes are great for this. You don't have to have a fitting brush. You can actually use that little piece of sand cloth and put it inside here and sand it. It's a little harder to get it as clean as you need to. So we're going to use our good new fitting brush here. On fitting brushes, all you apprentices out there, make sure you turn the fitting brush clockwise. These things are kind of in a spiral like a spring. So use them clockwise as long as you can until they're worn out. That way you don't wear the brush out so fast. If you turn them back and forth, you're going to wear out the brush much quicker and it won't last as long. It's not going to do as good a job cleaning the copper. You don't need to clean the outside of the fitting unless it's just really ugly and corroded. You want to get it shiny and clean on the inside, just to the depth of the socket right there. Now, this is what we call flux. After we've got both our pipes clean, we're going to put flux on it. What is flux? Well, solder flux or paste is what prepares the metal for the solder to stick to it. And of course, the solder is the metal we're going to use to put it together. This happens to be Silver Bright. This is one of my favorite ones to use. This is a lead-free solder. It has real good flow to it. It works really well. There's a lot of solders out there that are lead-free that don't work as well. So this one works really well. If you haven't tried it, I recommend trying it. This is No Corrode Aquaflux. This also has to be lead-free. There's several brands of this. Odie makes it. All kinds of companies makes. Hercules makes it. Solder flux, it doesn't matter what you use as long as it is lead-free solder flux because it has to be lead-free to use on potable water, which means drinkable water. So make sure that your flux looks good inside. If it's not, you may need to stir it up. It's nice and neat and clean. You don't need a lot of flux on your brush. One problem is getting too much flux in the system. So then we're going to take it and we're going to flux it just enough to cover the depth of the fitting. And not only are we going to flux the pipe, we're also going to flux the fitting itself. And put flux all inside there. Don't use too much excessive, and let's do both sides. And then let's slide that fitting on here and give it just a little twist to kind of spread the flux. All right, now we're going to have our second piece of copper. One bit of advice: never solder one side of a fitting. Always make sure you have a piece of pipe in both sides of the fitting. Because if you try and solder one side, even if you're very, very good at this, if you solder this side and then later come back and solder this side, there's a very good chance, because of the close proximity here, that you're going to melt the joint that you did previously and cause a leak. So never solder with one side of a 90 fitting, coupling, anything open. Okay? You always want to put a piece of pipe in both sides before you solder it. And we'll explain more about that in just a minute. So we're going to flux this piece up really good. We got it fluxed back about the depth of the fitting. We've already fluxed the inside of this fitting, and we're ready to go. There's not an excessive amount of flux around here or anything, so we've got a good amount of flux on it, and we're ready to solder it. What we're going to be soldering with today is a Burns-O-Matic MAP gas torch. MAP gas is a really good gas because it's a mixture of acetylene and propane, and it burns a little bit hotter than a propane torch does. Not quite as hot as an acetylene torch. It's real easy to use, it's handy, it's light. You don't have to carry a big B tank and torch assembly into a house like we had to do for so many years. Another recommendation I have is anytime you're soldering, get you some good cotton gloves, the brown jersey gloves. And the reason being is because sometimes we need to wipe some excess solder off of our copper pipes. You can either do it with a rag, but the brown jersey cotton gloves will do a real good job. You don't have to stop, pick up a rag, and do other things, and we'll show you more about that in a second. So put your cotton gloves on, Make sure you've got your eye protection on. Now let's see where you should put your torch when you're soldering. So before I strike this torch up, I want you to look at something. So we're going to be soldering this fitting. And we have a process when we're soldering that's called capillary action. What's capillary action? That means that the actual solder that's in this fitting has to fill in this entire area, and the way it does that is capillary action. Well, what does capillary action do? The solder will follow to where the hottest point is. So that means wherever your torch is placed, right here or here, if you put it here, your solder is going to suck up in this fitting to where it needs to go to give you the proper strength and seal on the fitting. If you put your torch back over here, you're not going to get the proper capillary action, and it's not going to suck all the way into the socket of the fitting. So torch placement is everything. And on young new plumbers, when they're first learning to solder, the hand-eye coordination of using one hand with the solder and one with the torch, you start wandering with your torch hand. You need to learn to pay attention to that, and eventually it just becomes mechanical that you know where your torch needs to be placed. Once you start soldering, your torch still needs to stay in the correct place so we get that proper capillary action and a good solder joint. All right, let's solder a solder joint. Take your solder and roll some off the roll. Some guys even roll it up like this and tear it off the roll. I don't like doing that. If I've got a roll of solder, we used to do that when we were doing commercial work and had larger 5-pound, 10-pound rolls. But it's best to have your roll off. You can put it between your two fingers, bend it out like that. Then when we're soldering, we've got a good ability to go in and do this. One more thing, when we are soldering a joint, physics comes into play. What does heat do? Heat rises. So anytime we're soldering joints that are one lower than the other, if we have a vertical joint or even in a horizontal situation like this where we have one horizontal joint and one that's going vertical or semi-vertical in this case, we want to do the lower joint first because our heat's going to rise. So when we do this joint, that means this one's going to be ready to solder almost immediately when we finish the bottom one. If you do it the other way and you do this one first, then when you solder the bottom one, there's a good chance your heat will draw the solder out of your joint and you could have a leak. Just a quick tip to make sure that you don't have any problems soldering. Now, let's solder the joint. I like to lock my torch off. Some guys like to hold it like this. Some guys start and stop the torch a lot. I put my torch on and lock it, and maybe it's because I grew up using a torch with a hose and handle. This way, I've easily got control of it with wrist work, just moving it around like this. We have to be really careful not to catch something on fire, which brings me to make sure and have a portable fire extinguisher. This is about as small as you can get, but it's real easy to carry in a torch tray. If you don't have one of these, get you a full-size fire extinguisher and have it beside you. But anytime you strike up this torch, you should have a fire extinguisher within reach of your work. So where are we going to put the heat on this fitting? We're going to start on the bottom because remember, heat rises, right? And we want it right here in the middle because that's where we want the solder to suck up to. The other thing is the hottest point on this torch are these fingertips right here of the blue flame, the bright blue flame. That's the hottest spot. As you come further out here, it's getting cooler. So let's put it right at the tips of those blue fingertips. And let's keep a good eye on our flux right here. When we see our flux start to boil a little bit and we watch the color of our pipe, we do what I call the touch test. So it's ready to solder, then we put the torch on top to make sure we get it sucked up on top. Now we're ready to do the next one. Notice how it's ready to solder already. We put a little heat on the top and our solder job's done. We knock a drip off the bottom. If you really want to be neat and clean, you can wipe it just very gently with your cotton gloves and make a nice pretty joint. Most plumbers tend to do what I call soldering it to death or over soldering it. They feed way too much solder in it and solder it way too long. You have to be very careful and watch the color of your pipe. The minute it starts turning rainbow, or if you ever turn the pipe black, you've burnt your flux. Once you burn the flux, you're not going to get the solder to stick and you're going to have a leak on your solder joint. Basics of soldering is right there. Everything I just told you is how you solder a joint. And again, remember, placement of your torch is critical. Cleaning the copper pipe is critical. Now let's do one more fitting. Let's do a coupling, because a coupling is a little different because it's so close together. You actually, on soldering a coupling, solder the entire coupling at one time, both sides at the same time. As you noticed on this fitting, I soldered one side, then I moved up here and soldered the other side. On a coupling, you can solder both sides right at the same time because the torch is going to be placed in the middle of the coupling. As we said, we want to make sure and clean the copper. Take our coupling, clean our coupling good. Got a nice shiny clean coupling. Let's flux our coupling. Flux our copper pipe. Okay, now we've got our coupling put together. We've got both sides fluxed. We've got our fire extinguisher close by. We've got our eye protection on. Let's solder it. Now remember, heat placement's everything. Over here, we were putting the heat in the back of the 90, and we were flipping sides to make sure we put the heat on both sides. Almost any pipe larger than 1/2 inch, you're going to need to heat both sides of the pipe in order to get it to suck up properly. Because if we just heat this side, it'll suck up on this side. But if we don't heat this side, it's not going to suck up on that side, and you're going to have a blank open spot of solder at the top where it didn't seal off. In a coupling, we're going to put the heat right in the middle. Now we're going to start at the bottom again because we use physics, right? Heat rises. So we're going to start down here, but the thing is, we don't really have two sides like we have here because there's no separation. So we're going to start the heat here, and once it gets hot enough, we'll do our touch test on it. And once it's hot enough, we feed it on both sides real quick. We flip our torch over, put it on top, feed it in here so that we make sure it sucks up capillary action to the middle here. That way we've got solder all the way around the pipe, pulled up all the way to the middle, because the strength comes from the solder filling the entire gap inside that fitting socket. Let's solder it. Flip it over, put some heat on the top, and you're good to go. Let's knock the drip off. Again, if you wanted to, you could do a little wipe on top, make it nice and neat looking. And there's a solder joint. That's all you have to do. Don't solder it to death, right? Put your heat on the bottom so it pulls up everywhere in the fitting on the bottom. Put your heat on the top, solder it, let it cool down. After it's cooled completely like this one is, you can wipe it down with a rag. Everything looks nice and neat. That's how you solder copper. It's not that tough, is it? Well, I hope this has helped you. I hope now you know how to solder copper. Practice makes perfect. I've done this for 47 years. It's best if you practice it as much as you can. We don't do near as much soldering as we used to, but there's still times when we have to solder as a plumber and maybe as a homeowner. Again, always be very aware of your torch, be safe, have a fire extinguisher on hand, and be ready if you needed to put out a fire very quickly. You're the first responder. Thanks for watching today. Please hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and let me know about your soldering experiences, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Just tell your friends that the Butler did it. Another recommendation